For centuries, humanity has gazed into the abyss of the night sky, our eyes tracing the distant points of light that flicker like tiny candles in a vast, endless sea. Each star, each glimmer of light, a whisper of mystery calling out to us from the dark. We have wondered, are we truly alone? Are we simply a fleeting whisper in this boundless expanse? A lonely speck among infinite stars? Or is there something more to the story? A dark, silent presence watching us, waiting patiently, hidden in the cold shadows of the universe? Think for a moment. The vastness of space is not just an empty canvas. It is a dark, uncharted ocean, one that stretches farther than we can fathom, a void teeming with mysteries we have yet to understand. And in this ocean, there are predators, silent, ancient, their eyes fixed on us from the darkness. Unseen, unfelt, we know so little, and yet, we act as though we are the masters of the stars. Fragile and naive, we continue to look upwards with wonder, with awe, unaware of the true nature of what lies beyond the veil. We are like children in a great, haunted mansion, marveling at the beauty of the walls, unaware of the dangers that lurk just out of sight. But what if we have been wrong? What if the question is not about our solitude at all? What if it's about something far more terrifying, something that has been watching us all along? Waiting in the shadows, silent and patient, biding its time? What if we are not alone, and what's watching us is far older, far more cunning than we ever imagined? Welcome to Top Secret UFOs, where today, we unravel a truth buried so deep within the unknown. It has remained hidden from us for centuries. A truth so profound that once uncovered, it will change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. Today, this is not a tale of speculation or mere theory. It's a revelation, a truth, clawed from the shadows, a truth that will alter the course of history. This is a story of humanity, long dismissed, underestimated, and believed to be weak and vulnerable, finally standing tall, showing the universe the true nature of its strength. The real question was never about what lies out there in the dark depths of space. It was about what we, as humans, are capable of when pushed to the edge, when provoked, when we are no longer the prey, but the hunters. We used to call them patient. It was a comfort, a simple balm to soothe the unease we felt in their presence. We told ourselves they were like the still waters of a deep, dark lake, calm on the surface, but shallow enough to be conquered. We believed, with time, they would bend to our will. As everything else had, it was an easy thought to hold on to, a belief we clung to like a lifeline. But that was our mistake, a mistake that would echo through the ages, reverberating in the cold vacuum of space. The truth we never saw was that it wasn't patience we witnessed, it was something far deeper. Something we were too blind to recognize. It was the calm before a storm, a quiet stillness, not born of hesitation, but of control, of preparation, the kind of calm that only those with true power can afford. And yet, we mistook it for weakness. We heard silence and assumed it was fear. But silence, in their case, was not a sign of defeat. No, it was the luxury of the strong. They weren't waiting because they were scared. No, they were waiting because they had nothing to prove. We saw their silence and thought it was our victory. But it was only their patience, their restraint. They held their cards close to their chest, knowing that the time would come when the true power of their resolve would be revealed. And when it was, there would be no more room for negotiation, no more words. In the end, it wasn't us who held the upper hand. It was them, standing in the quiet, watching us, calculating every move, and we never even knew it until it was far too late. The Star Dreamer. It was more than just a ship. It was humanity's greatest promise, a gleaming symbol of our hopes and dreams, built to sail through the boundless cosmos. Every curve of its sleek hull was crafted with the promise of discovery, of expanding the frontiers of knowledge and understanding. It was the vessel that would carry our finest minds into the unknown, a harbinger of a new era, a time when we, as a species, would finally understand our place in the stars. It was to be our most monumental leap, our crowning achievement. At the heart of this magnificent ship were the brightest and most curious scientists, engineers, philosophers, artists, each one chosen for their brilliance, their unyielding desire to push the limits of what was thought possible. Their eyes sparkled with wonder as they gazed out of the observation windows. watching as the Earth grew smaller behind them. For them, the vastness of space was a canvas waiting to be filled with the colors of knowledge and exploration. But there was a shadow that lingered in the dark corners of the ship. A shadow no one saw until it was too late. Then came the alarm, sudden, piercing, a high-pitched wail that reverberated through the entire vessel. It was the sound of finality, a sound so sharp, so raw, that it seemed to tear through the very fabric of their dreams, shattering the peaceful illusion they had all been living in. The crew, who had once laughed together, exchanged ideas, and dreamed of the stars, now stood frozen. The air, once filled with the light hum of excitement and discovery, was now thick with dread. In that instant, the Star Dreamer was no longer a ship of hope. It became a tomb, a silent, suffocating vessel adrift in the cold void. Innocent laughter turned to silence. Faces once bright with wonder now pale with terror. The stars, once a symbol of potential, were now nothing more than distant, cold pinpricks in the vast expanse, mocking the crew's fragile human aspirations. Hope, once the heartbeat of the journey, was replaced by fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of something far beyond their comprehension, something that had waited, quietly, patiently, until the moment was right. The crew, who had set out to explore the cosmos, found themselves at the mercy of forces far older and more powerful than anything they could have imagined. And just like that, the journey which had begun with such wonder, such promise, ended in an instant. One moment, the ship was a beacon of human achievement, and the next, it was a ghost ship, drifting silently in the abyss. And in that stillness, the Star Dreamer became a testament, not to humanity's brilliance, but to its vulnerability. A reminder that the universe is far more complex, far more dangerous, than we ever dared to believe. In the cold, unfeeling vacuum of space, time itself seemed to slow, as if the cosmos held its breath. The stars, distant and indifferent, shimmered silently, while the Star Dreamer, our grandest creation, our last hope, drifted serenely through the endless expanse. But then, without warning, a flash, a burst of fire that seared through the darkness like a scar across the sky. It wasn't a sound at first. No explosion, no roar, just a flash, a sickeningly brief moment of light that shattered the stillness of space. A single shot, a whisper of destruction, silent yet deafening in its brutality. Time seemed to stretch. The crew, those brilliant minds, the young children full of hope, could only watch in helpless horror as their world began to unravel. The Star Dreamer's hull, once a symbol of human achievement, was no match for the power that struck it. It tore apart like paper in the fury of a storm, crumpling and splintering into jagged shards of metal, each one spinning away into the void. The ship that had once carried dreams now carried only destruction. It was as if the very foundation of their existence had been ripped from under them. The crew, 27 souls, fought for life in that fleeting moment. Some reached for the emergency protocols. Others screamed for loved ones. But it was too late. The vacuum of space, the cold, unforgiving emptiness, swallowed their voices. 8 children, faces still innocent, minds still full of wonder, were lost in an instant. Their laughter, which had once filled the ship with joy, was gone, like everything else, as the debris scattered in every direction. Their names, their lives, were swept away by the infinite void. The Star Dreamer, its glowing promise, was no more. What was once a marvel of human ingenuity and hope was now an echo of violence, of fate's cold, unrelenting hand. The attack had been swift, calculated, efficient. There was no struggle, no chance for survival. The destruction was complete. Among the wreckage, there was no sign of what had caused the attack, no clue as to who, or what, had struck the final blow. Only the eerie silence of space remained, broken only by the faint creaking of the ship's remains, drifting helplessly in the endless dark. The Star Dreamer had become nothing more than a ghost, a warning, and its crew, their names etched into the cold void, were forever lost to the vast, uncaring universe. And now, as I sit here, the last survivor of a tragedy we could never have predicted, I leave these final words for those who will watch this testimony in the future. For those who will look back at our time, trying to understand the past, listen closely, for you must grasp what we failed to see. The humans didn't wait because they were weak. No, they waited because they knew something we didn't. At the time, we thought they were passive, mere victims of circumstance. We mistook their silence for submission, their inaction for fear. It was a comfort to believe they were helpless, that they were waiting for us to break them. But that belief was a grave mistake. Their patience, their stillness in the face of our aggression, was not weakness, it was strength, a strength we couldn't fathom. They weren't paralyzed by fear, nor were they content with our petty games of power. They were biding their time, watching us, studying us. They were waiting for a moment we couldn't even begin to imagine. I see it now, clearer than ever before. We were the ones who underestimated them, who failed to understand the depth of their resolve. They were not helpless. No, they were not the prey, as we had believed. They were never the ones to cower in the face of danger. They were the hunters all along, silent, patient, calculating. As I speak these words, I realize the truth we refused to acknowledge. The moment was always coming. The moment when humanity would rise up and reveal the terrifying truth of their strength. A strength born not of violence or brute force, but of something far more powerful, the ability to wait, to endure, to survive. They didn't fear us. No, we were the ones who should have feared them. They knew what we didn't. They knew the true power of patience. And now, as I sit here, the last living soul in a universe forever changed, I understand. They were never the prey. They were always the hunters. And we were the ones who had been hunted. The great doors of the command center shattered with a deafening crash, splintering like dry wood under the weight of an unstoppable force. A cloud of smoke billowed out, swirling around the room, choking the air with a thick, suffocating tension. Through this veil of chaos, a figure emerged, sharp, unwavering, Commander Chen. For a moment, the room stood still, as if time itself had frozen, holding its breath. The echoes of the explosion still rang in the air, but they seemed distant, inconsequential, as if the universe itself was acknowledging the arrival of something far more significant. He walked slowly, deliberately, his boots striking the floor with a rhythm that seemed to pulse through the very core of the command center. There was no rush in his movements, no hint of panic. His eyes, once filled with the uncertainty of a man caught between worlds, were now steady, unwavering, cold. Even the fire that had once burned in his heart, fueled by the hope of diplomacy, had been replaced by something far more potent, purpose. Where once he had stood as an emissary, pleading for peace, now he was something else entirely. A warrior, the man who had once bent under the weight of alien forces, now strode forward with the confidence of someone who had seen beyond the veil, someone who knew what it meant to have nothing left to lose. The balance of power had shifted. In his hands, the power to decide the fate of not just his people, but the very course of humanity's future. He had come here not to plead, not to beg for mercy. He had come to deliver it, to strike with a finality that would echo through history. The time for talking was over. The moment had arrived, the storm had broken, and Commander Chen was no longer the prey. He was the predator. What we once saw as primitive, crude technology now stood revealed in all its glory. A far cry from the makeshift designs we had dismissed as desperate attempts to survive. The warships, once a symbol of human weakness, now glimmered like polished obsidian, sleek and unyielding. Their once clumsy bulk had been sculpted into deadly precision. Each curve, each edge honed with a purpose, sharp enough to slice through the vastness of space itself. These ships, once overlooked, now pulsed with a dark energy, a silent, powerful force. Their hulls, no longer the patchwork of desperation, were black as the void they traversed, an uncanny reflection of the endless emptiness they had once roamed. The ships were no longer just machines of war, they were a harbinger of something greater, something far more terrifying. The humans had never been lost. They had never been fumbling blindly in the dark, as we had once believed. No, they had been waiting, watching, and now, the moment they had prepared for had arrived. As we made our move, they were ready. Their ships, silent and relentless, emerged from the shadowed folds of space like predators stalking their prey. We had expected chaos, confusion, perhaps even fear, but what we found instead was something we had never prepared for. Precision, strategy, and an unshakable resolve. They had always known what we were too blind to see. The humans were not scrambling for survival. They were positioning themselves for something far more significant. A reckoning. Now, humanity's greatest weapon, once a well-kept secret, was no longer hidden in the dark. It had been unleashed, and with it came a storm of power. The kind of power we had only imagined in legends, in stories told by those who had never lived to witness it. Now, we would see it for ourselves. The storm had come, and we were at its mercy. As the stars outside the observation deck shimmered like distant diamonds in the cold, infinite abyss, an eerie silence settled upon the bridge. It was a silence that weighed heavily, pregnant with the tension of unspoken truths. Then, cutting through the stillness, a voice, sharp, unwavering, cracked like thunder. Admiral Patel's voice rang out across every frequency, loud enough to be heard by every ear in the galaxy. Across every ship, every station, it was steady, resolute. A voice forged in the crucible of years spent waiting. Years spent watching. A voice that had once been filled with diplomacy, with hope, now tainted with the cold, unrelenting fire of vengeance. For 50 years, Admiral Patel began, each word deliberate, each one a blow of finality. We followed the paperclip protocol. We waited for a peace that would never come. The words hung in the air like a final breath before the storm. 50 years. It seemed like a lifetime, an eternity spent on the edge of despair. The peace they had longed for, the peace they had believed in, had always seemed just out of reach, like a mirage fading in the distance. Now, it was clear. The illusion had shattered. But then came the words that shattered something deeper, something far more fragile than the fleeting hope of peace. But you killed our children. Admiral Patel's voice grew heavier, rawer, tinged with a sorrow that could never be undone. His voice carried the weight of every life lost, every innocent soul torn away by the cruelty of those who had once been their allies. The words burned with the heat of betrayal, of lives stolen, of futures erased. The silence that followed felt like a suffocating blanket, heavy with the knowledge of what had been lost. The stars outside, once a symbol of limitless potential, now seemed cold and indifferent. For a moment, even the vast expanse of space seemed to hold its breath, as if the universe itself had paused in acknowledgement of the grief that reverberated across the stars. And then, the final words came, the declaration that could not be taken back, a declaration that would echo across the galaxy, forever altering the fate of all those who heard it. And now, you will face the consequences. As the final seconds of a shattered peace stretched into eternity, the vast void of space seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the inevitable. There, in the darkness of the cosmos, a single ship, no larger than a speck against the sprawling expanse, moved forward. But this was no ordinary ship, no mere vessel. This was humanity's last stand, their ultimate declaration of strength. The Vanguard, a ship forged from the ashes of desperation, now burned with the light of determination. It moved through the void, not with the uncertain hesitation of those who fear the unknown, but with the unyielding resolve of those who have nothing left to lose. Every inch of its hull was a testament to the indomitable will of humankind. And as it surged toward the heart of the alien fleet, it carried with it the fury of centuries of waiting. Then, without warning, the silence of space was shattered by a single, thunderous roar, a flash, brilliant, blinding, cut through the darkness, lighting the stars like a cosmic supernova. The Vanguard's weapons unleashed their fury, streaking across the void like fiery rivers of vengeance. The once untouchable alien forces, those who had long believed themselves invincible, felt their arrogance crushed beneath the weight of humanity's resolve. Their ships, once thought to be indestructible, were torn apart with the speed and precision of a storm. Massive warships, cold and silent, broke apart in a shower of molten metal and shattered metal fragments. The mighty fortress of their fleets, fortresses that had once struck fear into the hearts of all who beheld them, fell like houses of cards in the face of a storm of human determination. For the first time, the alien fleet, proud, unyielding, faltered. Their power, once limitless, now felt hollow. The Vanguard cut through their ranks, unstoppable, each strike a declaration, each explosion a promise. This was no longer a fight for survival. This was something far greater. This was humanity's final act, their ultimate declaration of power. A proclamation that would echo through the cosmos, reverberating across the fabric of space-time. A promise that the universe would never forget. That humankind, though once underestimated, though once thought fragile and weak, was now a force to be reckoned with. A force capable of reshaping the very nature of the cosmos itself. And now, the question is no longer about survival. The struggle for mere existence. The battle to endure against forces we didn't understand, it has all come to an end. The veil that once shrouded our destiny, the mask that kept the true nature of the cosmos hidden from us, has been torn away. The illusion has shattered. The universe, with all its mysteries, can no longer hide from the truth. Through the vastness of space, we can now see it for what it truly is, a place of ancient power. Dark and unpredictable, where only the strong survive. But the humans, these beings once thought to be fragile, insignificant, have shown their true nature. They are not the prey, not the victims of the void. They are the hunters, the ones who, when cornered, rise with a ferocity that can reshape worlds. For centuries, we've asked, who are we in the grand design of the cosmos? What is our place in the infinite expanse of space? But now, we have our answer. The humans are here. They were never the ones to fear. They were always the ones destined to change everything. The time for hiding is over. The time for waiting is over. The time for conquest has begun. They hold the power now. The balance has shifted. No longer are they the lost wanderers, the helpless wanderers in the cold abyss. No longer do they look to the stars with wonder and awe, unaware of what lies beyond. They have seen the darkness, and they have embraced it. They have touched the abyss, and they have returned stronger than before. The cosmos will never be the same again. The stars that once glimmered with the light of ancient civilizations now flicker nervously in the wake of this revelation. The universe, vast and unknowable, has learned a terrifying truth. Humanity, once dismissed as nothing more than a speck in the grand scheme of things, has awakened, and now, the cosmos must reckon with them.